What is up guys, Munash here, and today I just want to make a quick video about my masteries because I've been getting a lot of questions about this one lately, and yes, I figured it's about time, so let's just get into it. So this is the mastery build that I've been using for about, I'd say, 3 years now, although I slightly changed it a few weeks ago. For Untitled Chapter 4, I just added willpower and lowered my assassin a little bit, but yeah, otherwise it's the same. So let's start with offense. So I've got your standard offense build, when you're trying to max out your precision and your cruelty. And then I do have 1 point in courage. I used to have 3, but when I added willpower I had to drop some points somewhere. And for me that's because I often do fight with less than 50% health, because I don't like using health potions. I usually can just revive and I'm good to go. So I find courage is pretty useful there for the attack increase. Okay, so then now let's move on to the right where things get a little bit more interesting. And I do have max despair, and that's because despair is just a very good mastery to have, because there's a lot of champs these days that can inflict multiple debuffs quite easily, and when you're fighting against regen champs, it really helps to mitigate that regen. And these are champs that I use quite often, Hyperion, Nick Fury, Captain Marvel, even Quake, because you can have 2 concussions and 1 stun, and that could lower it by 45%, so that's quite a big difference there. So yeah, I do really like despair. And then I have level 4 deep wounds. I used to have it at level 5 because I used to use bleed champs quite frequently, such as Blade and Nick Fury, and now I have it at level 4, which isn't a big difference. I would like to have it at level 5, just for my rank 3 Fury, but honestly the difference isn't that big, so I'm not too fussed about that. And then assassin, I used to have max assassin as well, and for me it wasn't really about the damage increase as much as it was about the AA reduction, ability accuracy reduction, because there's a lot of annoying interactions that trigger towards the end of the fight, like Iron Man Infinity War's armor, for example. When he gets to 15%, he starts triggering that armor and he can auto block you. So assassin would help actually mitigate that, where you could just do a few hits without actually triggering armor. I'm not noticing that much of a difference because it's only at the end of the fight, so it's not really a huge change. And yeah, I also do have max glass cannon, because for me 7.2% health really isn't much. As long as I'm finishing my fights without losing much health, I'm happy. And that's kind of why I also don't run suicides, because for me the health loss is just annoying. I don't like losing health, after fighting perfectly. And recoil is also a big problem as well. But the main thing is just that I like to be able to fully utilize, emphasis on fully, utilize as many champs as I can. And suicides aren't the best for that, because there's a lot of champs that are not suicide friendly. Yes, you can get by using Nick Fury and Deadpool if you have Deadpool. I don't have a 5-star gold pool or a 6-star Deadpool X-Force, so that's not gonna happen for me. And also I don't have Omega Red or Ghost, although Ghost is still pretty good without suicides. Although Omega Red, he kind of needs them to to really be a force to be reckoned with. I do have Corvus though, but I mainly just use him for Alliance Quest, and he does fine without suicides in Alliance Quest for me. And they also make my Alliance Wars more expensive, I've noticed, because I use Quake a lot. So if I'm using Quake for, let's say I use it for 10 fights, and I'm losing 10% health each fight, that's going to be a lot of health potions just to top her up. And the thing is, willpower doesn't scale with boosts in Alliance War. And also the Alliance War defenders can also have despair masteries as well. So when you have that bleed or that poison on you, then you're also just lowering your regeneration as well. So you can actually lose more than 10%, even with Coagulate, depending on the debuffs that you have on you. Like if I'm fighting Havoc and he places and I got a bunch of plasmas on me, then I'm basically heal blocked for the poison, and it's just not fun. So yeah, I definitely prefer not having suicides overall. And yeah, and really it's just about preference also, because you can do perfectly fine with suicides, you can do perfectly fine without them, although there are some moments where you might need to take them off for certain fights. You need to utilize a certain champ's utility. Like for me, I play Hyperion quite a lot, and I use a special 1 a lot for his damage. Moving on to defense, and I used to have only 10 points in defense, where I would have max block proficiency, and then I'd also have maxed out recovery. So I'd have 1 point in solve just to max out recovery. It makes quite a big difference, especially if you're using like heavy regen champs. I use Blade a lot in Alliance Quest as well, so for me it helped Blade quite a lot, and other regen champs. So yeah, I do like recovery. An extra 15% when you regen is quite nice to have. And now I also have willpower, and I never used to have willpower since they nerfed it back in 2016. But I only recently added willpower because of Act 6 Chapter 4. There's just so many debuffs. Damaging debuffs, non-damaging debuffs, whatever. There's just so many of those, and willpower has really helped just to mitigate some of that damage and also just to get some free healing. So yeah, I do recommend having willpower at level 1 at least if you are doing stuff like Act 6. And now let's move on to the utility tree, and this one is quite interesting. This is actually probably my favorite tree. It's the one I haven't changed in, I would say, close to 4 years now. So, you know, you have your parry, which is a staple. Everyone has to have parry. It's one of the 2 masteries that you just have to have no matter what. Parry and dexterity. And parry I have it maxed because A, it mitigates some block damage even more, and B, also the stun duration. You get a little bit more stun duration, which is actually very important when you're fighting against champs with stun resistance or debuff resistance or limber, you know, so yeah. Dexterity on the other hand, you do not need to have it maxed because you're just getting a precision passive and it's got a higher chance the higher the level is. But what you mainly want from dexterity is the ability to evade specials or projectiles. And then we have Stupefy, which just increases your stun duration again, which is also very important for stuff like limber. And then we have Pacify, and I only really have Petrify to get to Pacify, because 30% ability accuracy reduction when they're stunned can make quite a big difference, you know, especially if you're already using champs while lowering ability accuracy but not doing it by 100%, you know, champs like Blade or Electra or Black Widow, you know. When you add Pacify to their base ability to reduce ability accuracy, the ability accuracy reduction just becomes a lot more reliable. And then last but not least, we have Mystic Dispersion, and this one's an interesting one because it's a class-specific mastery, but it's probably the best really, because, you know, getting that extra power from buffs when you nullify them or when they expire is pretty big, you know. Some champs don't need it, such as Doom and Clairvoyant. They actually do fine without Mystic Dispersion, but champs like Dr. Voodoo, Man-Thing, and even Summit Supreme are a lot better with it, and that's what I liked it for, because I do have a rank 5 Voodoo, I do have a rank 5 Man-Thing, and a rank 2 6-star Supreme. And I also prefer Doom with it, because A, it's just more power, it's easier to get to your special 3, it's faster, so yeah. Overall, I do like Mystic Dispersion, and it's one of those things that's hard for me to part with, because I enjoy playing my Mystic champs, you know, especially Doom these days. So yeah, those are my masteries, that's what I used to explore Act 6 Chapter 4, and I'll probably continue to use this for quite some time, and yeah, I don't have any plans to change it anytime soon. The only thing that might make me change it is if I need to do some hardcore arena grinding. Maybe I'll activate suicides for that. Although, to be honest, I barely grind arena anyway, so like I hate arena. Like, that's the most boring, most mundane game mode in this game. But it does have value, it does have importance. So yeah, if I'm doing heavy arena grinding, then maybe I'll consider having suicides on. And if I'm doing stuff like Abyss of Legends, where certain mastery builds will help save me a fair bit of health potions or revives, then yeah, I also might tweak my masteries there. But otherwise, I'll just use this build for pretty much everything else. So yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys found this useful. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.